You're listening to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show, where wealth is empowering, purpose is crucial, and high vibes are non-negotiable. And now, here's your host, certified business coach and practical woo strategist, Sarah J. Loureiro.
Hello. I know that this podcast episode is almost overdue. I feel like there has just been so much happening in the coaching industry, especially over the past year, with people just feeling very burnt out by coaches who are not upholding the standards that they have spoken to, prospective clients about. And I wanted to, give you some hope, give you some perspective on whether or not you should invest in a new coach after you have been burned. So I promise that this won't just be an episode that's just like invest in me, invest in my program, but it's going to be more about what you need to do and how to kind of process that bad investment to heal from it. And then ultimately how to decide whether or not you actually do want to move forward and work with someone else. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is for all of you who have even been commenting in my DMs being like, I really want to work with you, Sarah, but I just invested in someone or this program that just was not what I thought it was. It completely underdelivered. It overpromised, underdelivered. Don't really know what to do now with my business. And I feel you. And I think that this is such a hard part of the industry. I think that there are a lot of really, really incredible people out there who are doing just a phenomenal job with their clients. And then I also feel like there's a few different models of coaching and business coaching in specific that I don't actually enjoy. And I'll give you a little bit of my own story of how I felt like I was overpromised and underdelivered in a specific coaching program and what I chose to do about it. One of the first things, though, that I think is really helpful and important for everyone here is understanding where we need to take our own personal responsibility. And some of you might not like that, especially if your brain is trying to keep you in your victim mentality. And if you want to stay in victim mentality, that's totally fine. You can turn off this episode right now. I promise that, it's not just your victim mentality. There probably is something that happened that, you're absolutely in validation for feeling the way that you feel, right? But I do feel like the very first thing always is taking personal responsibility, because that takes you out of victim mentality and into a place of empowerment, right? So understanding how some of this was actually your fault and understanding why it was your fault. So was it because you made a really rash decision? Was it because, did you actually not do a lot of the work that you were supposed to be doing inside the program? Did you take the program at a bad time in your life? Did you not do all of the research that you needed to do for the specific program that you took? These are all really, really great things that you can do because this brings the power back to you. And because when you put yourself in victim mentality with all these things, you're actually taking the power away from you. So helping yourself and being really, really honest with those things does not mean that the person who harmed you isn't in the wrong. It just means that you can also take personal responsibility for specific things that happened within that relationship. And a lot of what I'm going to be talking about on this episode today is really how this was a relationship. And you can liken this to a romantic relationship in so many ways. In romantic relationships, we feel like we expect something out of the person that we put all of our time and effort and commitment into. And sometimes that person just does not deliver on that. And a lot of the times, even in the beginning of a relationship, people are, showing you their highlight reel. They're showing you all of the amazing things about them. And once you get into the thick of things, then you kind of start to understand, okay, is this person someone who I want to be with long term? Do I feel like there was an illusion in the beginning? And do I feel like this person harmed me in any way? But then also most importantly is what ends up happening afterwards. So you have the breakup, you go through that excruciating pain of going through the breakup, being brokenhearted, and feeling like someone fooled you or wronged you. But do you just completely shut yourself up from love and just say like, okay, I'm never going to fall in love ever again, and I'm never going to give anyone a chance? Well, no, right? What we need to do is we need to learn from that experience, heal from that experience, take personal responsibility from that experience, also understand the ways that that person harmed us during that experience, but understanding that just because that one person harmed us does not mean that every other person that we're going to go on a date with is going to be terrible, is going to, do the same things to us. We need to keep an open heart and an open mind if we truly want the vision that we're holding a place for in our hearts. And I really do feel like coaching and investing and choosing the right program is so similar. So the first thing is really just taking inventory of what was my responsibility that I can accept, right? So as I give you the example of the coaching program that I went with, that I was disappointed with, I can kind of talk to you a little bit about what I believe was my personal responsibility. And I do feel like there are people, and I'm not suggesting that this is you, but there are people who won't take any personal responsibility for anything that happened. And it's just very, very difficult to deal with that and to be able to work with that and to be able to grow from an experience when we're not taking any personal responsibility. Even when I've had really good coaching relationships, but it didn't pan out the way that I wanted them to, I always ask myself, okay, well, what was I supposed to do that I didn't do? And a lot of the times for me, I ended up changing things or tweaking things when my mentors were just like, no, just stay the course. Trust us. Like, this is going to be really good for you. And so that's the personal responsibility that I can take from relationships where I had really great coaches and really great mentors, but I just wasn't implementing, or I just made decisions that weren't the decisions that they were recommending for me. And so I need to take responsibility over those things, right? And so when I got into a really bad coaching relationship, and I think the person that I ended up working with was really great. I think that she was very supportive. I just didn't actually enjoy the model that she gave me. And I remember when I got on a call with her, I had a few different things in terms of like a list that I wanted to make sure that I was getting from my next coaching experience. And so a few of those things that I had written down were as a result of understanding what I did and did not like from coaching relationships prior. And I'll tell you a little bit of what was on that list just so that you can kind of think about this, especially in terms of business strategy and hiring another business coach. That might be helpful for you. So one of the first things that I put on there was that I did really want weekly support. And the reason why I wanted weekly support, or at least like 3 sessions a month, was because I wanted someone who I could talk to. I felt like I needed a lot of support with my mindset and my energetics, my worthiness around making more money in my business. At this specific point in time, I was already making multiple 6 figures. So I really just wanted to take things to the next level. And I understood in myself that one thing that I really wanted help with was my energy and the energetics of everything. So I put that down as something that was a non-negotiable. The other thing that I put down was that was non-negotiable was just really having weekly mentorship, because the program that I had invested prior to that was I was only given like one one-to-one call per month, and I wasn't giving it like any group or anything like that. So I just wanted someone that I could access continuously. That was really important to me from the other experiences that I had. Another thing that I really wanted is I realized that I function the best off of an evergreen business model, meaning I don't like launches. I have a really hard time implementing the entire launch strategy from beginning to end. It just was not my vibe, not my thing. I had been through it with a few of my coaches. I really wanted to work with someone who didn't do a launch strategy. And so those were a few of the things that I felt like I really wanted help with. And of course, like one of my last things was this person really had to have made the income that I really wanted to make in my business, because I was at the stage that I was already at multiple 6 figures a year. I just really wanted to know that this person knew how to get me above what I was currently at. And one of the best ways that you can do that is getting someone who's either made that themselves, so had that success themselves, or had a demonstrated ability to get that success for other people. Now, I'm telling you all of this because that was my personal responsibility of writing down the bulleted list of the things that I knew that I wanted from this experience. Unfortunately, when I got on my call with her, I don't really feel like everything that was said was completely honest. And, for the sake of confidentiality, I won't kind of go into anything else about that and not even talking about like the specific year that this happened. I just want to give you guys some context just because I really love that type of transparency. And so I did go through that whole list. I do believe that I was told that I was getting some of those things on that list. And unfortunately, I did not get the things that I had on that list. And I think ultimately that was on her and that wasn't on me. But what was on me was that there were specific things on that list that she did say during my initial call with her that were different. And if I truly didn't want those, and if I truly didn't feel in alignment with them, I shouldn't have said yes, right? So I should have taken that list, taken what she told me, and then just kind of asked more questions around it. And unfortunately, that just didn't end up happening. And I got into this coaching relationship where all of a sudden, I made sure, I was like, I don't want to do a launch. And she was just like, nope, you're not going to have to do a launch. Like, don't worry. Like, we'll do things the way that you want to do them. And then all of a sudden she was like, you need to do a launch. And immediately I was like, oh my God, I didn't really want to do this. But at the same time, because I had just invested in a new program, new mentor, I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. Right. So that's another thing. I didn't really voice the fact, and I wasn't really adamant about the fact that I didn't want to do things that way. I ended up doing it her way. It was a very short program. But still, I had wished that I had really stuck to my guns with that, because I ended up then investing in another incredible program, I think a year afterwards, where they did do the same model as me. So I learned from that experience, and it was just so much easier for me to implement. It was so much easier for me to follow the specific strategy. Another thing that I really learned from that experience that, made me really a little bit disheartened with it was the fact that I had the impression that this person knew a lot more than me, and this person was going to help me get a lot further. But after a while, I just really realized that a lot of the marketing that was on her page wasn't actually really telling of how successful she really was inside of her business. She was more so successful inside of her life. And so I was like, okay, so that's another thing that's on me is next time I really want to see the testimonials that this person has, where they've helped other people do these things. Because I was just under the impression, because she was living such a lavish life, that she was, doing really, really well in her business. And I later found out that that just wasn't the case. So I know that some of you are probably listening to this and being like, oh my God, that exact same thing happened to me, because I've heard from a lot of you. I've, been in DMs with a lot of you who said, I've just gotten really burnt from a past experience. One of my clients actually, even when she worked with me, she even said that one of her previous coaches was basically almost like a scam, where she paid the person a lot of money and the person didn't even deliver what was stated in their contract, which to me sounds so ludicrous. And so crazy that someone could even do that. And then my client ended up working with me and being like, oh my God, just the amount of support that I get inside of your modules alone is worth the investment for what it is I'm paying for with you. So I totally get that. I've heard so many different stories, and it's really unfortunate. And I think that there are definitely a lot more people who do good in the coaching industry than they do bad. However, we don't really know who the good and bad ones are sometimes, because the bad ones are just so good at their marketing. And so one of the biggest things that I would say is take a look at the testimonials for the program that you are thinking of completing. Are these, videos are always the best, but are these real people? Are they in a similar business to you? Are they in a similar niche to you? Try to get as much information about the program as you can before you even get on a call with someone about the program. And just make sure that you ask very detailed questions, because that's going to help you to get a sense of what it is that you're actually getting and what is things that someone tends to hide from you. This is something that I also like doing just within direct conversation with people. I like to be really transparent about things. So, and I think it's just really helpful for everyone. And then, of course, I always like to also have an open mind. So if someone's not going to give me word for word every single little thing that I have on my list, that's also fine, because sometimes I don't know what I don't know. And I don't know if maybe one of the things that I have on my list of what I'm looking for in my next mentorship isn't actually something that's a priority. It's just something I think is a priority because of the bad experiences that I've had in the past. And I'll give you an example of this too. I don't necessarily think I need one-to-one support anymore with any of my mentors and any mentor that I invest in the future. I used to think that that's something that I needed when I got really bad one-to-one support from a program. And so I was like, no. From now on, I just need one-to-one support because I need help with the implementation. The minute that I joined a mastermind where I wasn't getting one-to-one calls, but I got so much support and just had a really simple and effective strategy, I ended up doubling my income just from that one mastermind experience alone. And it really helped me understand that the non-negotiable of having a one-to-one help or one-to-one with my specific coach wasn't actually necessary if I was already getting a lot of support and a lot of customization inside of the program itself, and especially inside of the group coaching that I had with them. So that was a really helpful and important thing that I learned from, my list of non-negotiables is sometimes you can, as long as you're like adequately convinced and have a really good feeling about it. I totally think that you don't need every single little thing that's on your piece of paper in terms of what it is that you're looking for. Also, when you're going and looking for a new mentor or thinking about whether or not to invest in someone else, also understanding that like a slight difference in strategy will make all of the difference. And I cannot enforce this or like say this enough. Because so many people will say, well, someone already told me about messaging. Someone already taught me Facebook ads. Someone already taught me how to do content. I know how to do all of those things. I just need to implement it. And for all of you who kind of feel like they're at that place, I would definitely 1000% tell you, if all it was implementing that, you'd be at the level that you want to be at right now, because that's not the answer. And you know that that's not the answer because you've been doing that. And I know that I've been at that place in my business a few different times where I'm like, well, everyone's always going to teach me the exact same thing. So how is that going to help me? I already know these things. I already know how to launch. I already know how to do Facebook ads. But if I already know how to do all these things, why aren't I at the level that I want to be at, right? If everyone already knows all the things, then technically everyone can go get their business to 7 figures with their very first business program that they ever invest in, right? And it just doesn't work that way. And the reason why it doesn't work that way, and I can tell you this from personal experience, and I can also tell you this from personal experience from being someone who actually really did not allow my income to grow because I kept on giving myself that same limiting belief, because it really is a limiting belief, is because a slight tweak in business strategy can be the difference between you making $0 a month to making $10,000 a month. And I'm not even kidding you. Like, it could even be if someone taught you how to do DMs in the past, and it just wasn't a strategy that you could implement really well. It just wasn't something that you felt aligned with. The minute that someone tells you a slightly different strategy for DMing that's even more effective, boom, you can hit a 10K month relatively quickly. And I speak from personal experience here. When I've tried to do these types of things on my own, and let me tell you, I tried them. I remember when people were like, oh yeah, go to LinkedIn. I was just like, no, I'm not going to hire a LinkedIn expert. I'm just going to do it on my own. I'm going to hire someone else who's going to like help me with it, a virtual assistant who's going to help me with it. And I have never gotten the same results from doing it on my own that I had when I work with a mentor who has a strategy that they've tweaked over and over again for LinkedIn in specific. It's night and day. And sometimes it's not even that different in terms of like the way that things happen. But trust me when I say I will pay like thousands of dollars any day for someone to show me the difference in one sentence, the difference that one sentence can make either in a Facebook ad or in a DM or in a content strategy, because that difference in one sentence has literally changed the way that I make money and how many people actually end up coming back to me. These slight tweaks make all of the difference. So when I hear people coming to me and being like, yeah, well, I've already done that. I've already done ads. I've already done this. I think really what I need to do is just implement it all. It's like, okay, go do that. And I really wish you the best of luck with it. But in my experience, that never actually ends up happening. And you just keep yourself on a hamster wheel. And the reason why you're keeping yourself on that hamster wheel is because you're so afraid to invest in someone else. Because it's like we said, going back to the relationship, someone broke your heart. And because someone broke your heart, you're so afraid of opening up your heart again and finding love again. But if you truly believe that it's possible for you, and if you truly believe that you're worthy of it, you owe it to yourself to make that new investment. You owe it to yourself to trust someone else again, because not everyone is terrible. Not everyone is going to give you the wrong advice just the same way that that one person did. Not everyone is going to be dishonest. And that's why once you have had these bad experiences, what needs to happen is, one, obviously, like I said, taking personal responsibility. Two, understanding where they went wrong and acknowledging that. But also three, understanding, okay, after I sit with it, acknowledge my responsibility, acknowledge their responsibility, then it's like, okay, well, what do I want to do with this and how do I want to grow? And what is going to be the next best decision that will place me in the right path for me to grow even more? And after having that really bad business coach that I hired, I waited like a year and a half, or may have even been more than that, to have any other type of mentorship, have any other type of support, because I just felt so burned from that experience. And I felt that the coaching was not at the level of the financial investment. And I mean, I'm a business coach and I teach high ticket. So it was very stark for me. But I actually held myself back way too long. I could have been making more progress, helping more clients, making more money, way more, if I had invested in someone else sooner rather than later. I chose to invest in someone else later just because I had such a limiting belief in it. And now I'm doing the best that I've ever done in business, and it feels absolutely amazing. Like, I'm doing way more, I'm making way more, I'm creating way more of an impact, and I'm having way more fun with being able to inspire people, create new podcast episodes, create new trainings, create new amazing content that's going to motivate people to live up to their highest purpose and ultimately make the most money in their businesses. And took me too long. And that's the biggest lesson that I learned from that entire experience, is that I spent way too long just doubting people and not taking a new leap because I was so afraid and I just felt so burned. So if I can give you any piece of advice with that, it would just be heal, acknowledge, take responsibility, but then understand what it is that you need to be looking for in the next investment in order for it to feel like a hell yes for you. But then make that decision sooner rather than later, because truly, I really, truly believe that every single one of us waits way too long. And we think we have this like infinite amount of time, but time is actually finite. Money is infinite. And so you can recreate money over and over and over again. You can duplicate, triple, 10x your money at any point in time. Your time is finite. So the amount of time that we waste just waiting is incredible to me. We think that we have all this time. We think that we have all these years. And then all of a sudden we look back and we're like, did I just spend 3 years doing nothing? Did I just spend 3 years thinking that I was going to like one day just like magically get the right strategy or the right thing in place without taking action? Like, why did I spend so long just deliberating? Why didn't I just go for it? Because I could have been at the place that I am now just so much sooner. And I could have been experiencing all of the amazing feelings that I experience now so much sooner. And so this is just your opportunity, your chance, your sign to take that leap when you understand all of these things. And obviously when you feel like you healed from this experience, and lean into trust and lean into that higher vision that you have for yourself. Because I can tell you right now, just a tiny tweak in strategy or just a tiny tweak in mindset makes all the difference for how quickly you can sign on more clients and really get your business off of the ground. So hope that this really helped you. I hope that this episode really, really helped you with, the pains of all of this and gave you some hope and inspiration, even from my own personal account. So if you liked this episode, it would mean the world to me if you hit subscribe, left a really amazing review, or shared it with one of your friends. And if you want to contact me and ask me any other questions, you can always contact me at Sarah without an H, J, Loureiro, Loureiro. And I'd be happy to talk to you. I'd love to hear your feedback, right? Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show. If you enjoy our show and would like the show notes and free goodies about how to grow your online coaching business, Head over to sarahjlorero.com for more information. We hope you'll tune in next time.